Hi, this is Sarah from SRSDesigns, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Loomigurumi Kawaii style baby bottle. And he does stand up on his own. What you'll need for this project is 333 bands. This nipple color is 49, the rim is 54, and the color of the bottom of your bottle is 230. You're also going to need a stitch marker, a pair of safety eyes. I'm using 6mm safety eyes I got off of Amazon, a band for the mouth, some bands to make the eyes if you don't have the safety eyes, plus a hook and some stuffing. So let's get started. We are going to start by making a magic ring. I'm going to use the tan color. This is Loom Band brand. And we're going to make a magic ring, and how we do that is we take a band and we put it on our hook, we wrap it around 3 times, so we have 3 loops. Through this we are going to pull 6 bands to make our magic ring. So you grab a band, put it on your hook, slide that triple wrapped band on, put it back on your hook. I like to pinch, so I make sure I have all 3. I'm going to make a slip knot, pulling one end through the other, and then I'm going to take my hook and put it through that middle hole. And then I'm going to continue to pull a band through that triple capped band, put it back on my hook, I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm going to attach it to the other band with a slip knot again. I'm just going to continue until I have a total of 6 bands. This is 4, 5, and 6. So for counting, your first stitch is on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one right here is where we're going to start our next row. So we're going to put our hook through this stitch. Our next row is going to have 6 stitches also. So I'm going to pull my first band through, and this is where I'm going to put my stitch marker. This is the first stitch of our second row, and we need to do 6. So that was 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, and our last one here is 6. Our next row is also going to have 6. This is 1, and we're going to move that stitch marker. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Here's our last stitch. That was row 3. Oops, lost it there, which sometimes happens, and they're just slip knots, so you can put them right back on the hook. All right, so here we are at the end of the 3rd row. Our 4th row is going to have a total of 12 stitches. We're going from 6 to 12. So we're going to be putting 2 stitches in each one of the 6 stitches. And that will give us 12. So here's our first pulled through. And I'm going to move the stitch marker. I'm going back in the same exact place and putting a 2nd stitch. Now I'm moving over to the next one, and I'm putting 2 bands through this one. This is number 3, and then number 4 in the next one. In the same place. And we move over, and we're putting in stitches 5 and 6. 2 stitches 2 rubber bands through each. 7 and 8. Moving to the next, 9 and 10. And then this last one here, 11 and 12. And here we are back at the beginning of the next round. Now we're going to start row number 5, and we're going to increase from 12 stitches to 18 stitches. So in our first stitch, we're going to put 1, and then in our second, we're going to put 2, and we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. A single, a 2, a single, 2. So here's our first single. We're the first stitch, moving our stitch marker up 1. And then in our next spot, we're putting 2 stitches. 1, 2. And this puts us to 18 when we get to the end. So here's a 1 stitch. And then 2. A single stitch, and then a double. And you just keep repeating this pattern all the way around. And here we are in our last stitch where we're putting in 2, and that gives us a total of 18. There we go. And there's the top of the bottle. We are done with this section, and we're going to move on to the rim. And I'm going to use some teal to make the rim. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing a row all the way around of 18 stitches, but we're only going to put it in the front loop, not in both loops. Instead of having them both, we're just going to go in the front loop. And this is going to give us the distinction between the 2 sections. So just in the front loop, we're going to move our stitch marker, and we're going to continue all around. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and our last stitch is 18. And that puts us right back at the front where we started. In our next row, we are going to be doing 18 stitches all around, regular, through the both. So that's our first, moving the stitch marker. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and our last stitch in this row, 18. Whoop, whoop, don't slip out. I think the Loom Band brand ones, when I use the coffee, after I use them, they make my hook kind of dull, like it got grease on it or something. I don't know. It makes it slippier. So that was row number 7, and we're done with that row. We're moving on to row number 8. And for row number 8, we are going to do 18 stitches all around again, and we're going to use the front loop only again. Front loop only. So this is 1, the front loop only, moving my stitch marker. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and our last stitch here, 18. And those were all in the front loop. And we're back to our beginning under the stitch marker. Now we're done with the color of our rim. So there's the top of our bottle. And then I'm going to use white for the bottom of the bottle. Kind of makes it look like it is milk. So this is row number 9. And for this row, we are just using the back loop only. We use the front on the last row. Now we're just using the back here. And that's going to give us this little rimmed edge here. So that's my first stitch. Moving my stitch marker. Back loop only. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh no. See? No, they'll come undone. Just keep grabbing them and putting them in. I think that was 9. See, I lose count. Well, there's 18 stitches. That let's see, if I did lose count, 9, 10. Let's see if this is 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, and then our last one here was 18. Yay! I did lose count. Back underneath the stitch marker. Now our next row is going to be front loop only. Just in the front loop. We did a back loop only, now we're doing a front loop only. Move our stitch marker and go all the way around. Front loop only. 2, 3, 4, 5. We had a huge storm this morning with lots of thunder and lightning. And all while we were getting ready for school and while I was dropping my kids off. And now the sun is out and I can hear birds chirping. But it's supposed to rain again tonight. Where I live, we don't get a lot of rain usually, so we always take it when we can. I like it when it rains and I'm driving. That way it'll wash my car off. Wash away all the pollen that's giving everyone allergies. Just the front loop only on this row. And this is row number 10. Now we're back to the beginning. It'll even out a little bit nicer when we go to stuff it. Now you need to do 5 more rows of white with 18 stitches in each row. And that is not in the front loop or the back loop. It's in both loops. Your regular stitch that we would normally do in Loomigurumi. So you need to do 5 more rows using this technique, and then I will meet you back. Welcome back. You should have completed 5 more rows. And we're going to put our face on now. I'm going to take my stitch marker out from where it currently is, and I'm going to put it through all 3 bands on my hook. That way I don't have to worry about dropping any stitches while I'm putting my face on. Now, we have a couple more rows to go, as you can see, but I found it was easier to put the face on sort of in the middle before I was done. You know, before I did the rest of it here, it kind of got hard to stick my hands up there. But so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on my eyes. And like I said, I'm using 6mm safety eyes that I got off of Amazon. So you just decide where you like them, stick them in. And they have these these little ridges on the back, and this little plastic piece goes right on top, and you gotta just push them in. This is the hardest part for me for some reason. Does not want to go today. There we go. I'll put my second one on. You'd think with all this looming I'd have stronger fingers. If you don't have any safety eyes and you want to use bands, this is how you're going to want to do it. You want to take 2 bands, the color that you want your eyes, put them on your hook, wrap them around 1 time, grab all of those and wrap them around again. take one band and slide all of those wrapped bands onto the single band. Position it in the middle. You're going to want to decide where you want your eye. Go up with your hook and take one end of the band and pull it down, keeping that end on the hook. Go up again and making sure that you've got some bands in between. And then you can just make a slip knot like that underneath, and that will keep the eye secure. And then next I'm going to put on my mouth. I'm going to take a black band and give it a little snip. I'm going to spread out my design a little bit so I can see the holes. And I'm just going to stick the band through the holes in the crochet. And that will give me my little mouth. When I'm happy with it, I just turn it over and I make a knot in the black band. And then my mouth is done. So let's continue. We're getting there. Very close to being done. I'm going to put my hook back through the stitch marker. So I'm collecting 3 bands. Where the stitch marker was. And we need to do 3 more rows of white, just like we did before. So I'm going to pause it, finish those 3 more rows, and then I'll meet you back. Welcome back. I finished those 3 additional rows, and now we're almost done. We're gonna do the bottom, and what we're going to do is a row in the front loop only. So front loop, and this is going to make it so it starts to make a flat bottom. So you just take the bands through the front loop. And we're going to do that all the way around. So it's 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and our last stitch is 18. And that was all the way around just in the front loop. Now we need to stuff it. So just get some stuffing, some cotton balls. I'm using polyfill fiber that I got from the craft store. So you just take some of it and stuff it inside. And be as tight or as loose as you would like it. I'm just going to go like that. In our next row, we're going to start decreasing to make the bottom. So what we're going to do is 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So here's our first single. I'm going to move my stitch marker. So that's 1, And this is 2, and now a decrease. And a decrease is attaching 2 bands together into one. So 2 stitches. So we're going to put our hook in the next stitch, hold it on our hook, and then grab the stitch next to it. So now we have 2 stitches that we're going to pull through one band. So where there was 2, now there's 1. And we're going to do it again. 1 stitch, 2 stitches, and then the decrease. Grabbing 1 stitch, grabbing the second stitch, and pulling it through. Back on the hook. Now see this big, there's a space here and you think, oh, that's where I put my hook, but actually if you look, that's attached to the stitch we just decreased. So you want to make sure that you're going to the next stitch. So here's our first single, second single, and then we're going to do a decrease. We're going to be doing 4 of this set. So here's our last one. Single, single again, and then we're going to do a decrease. We are left with 2 stitches before our stitch marker, so we're going to do two singles. 1, 2, and this will give us 16 stitches. So if you need to go through and check. We're going to do our next row. We're going to be decreasing again. A single and a decrease, a single and a decrease all the way around. So here's that single. And then we're going to decrease 1, 2. I'm going to take 2 stitches. Pull 1 band through both of those. So we're going to do it again. We're going to take a single, and then we're going to decrease it. Single stitch, decrease, single stitch, another decrease, and then we're going to end it with 2 single stitches here. Actually, let's end it with a decrease. That's what I wanted to do. We're going to put another decrease in there. And then we're back at the beginning. This is our last row, and we are going to do a row of decreasing until we close. So here's our first stitch. We're going to grab the next one. We're going to pull a band through that. And I'm going to put my stitch marker on even though it's the last row, just so I can make sure I'm going in the circle. So here's our second decrease. Stitch marker out of the way. And then another. So we're grabbing those 2 stitches. And then our last one here. Oops, decrease. And then I'm going to take my what's on my hook. I'm going to go underneath where the stitch marker was. Take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to take 1 band. I'm going to pull it through everything that was on my hook and make a slip knot. And then I'm going to hide my slip knot inside my project so that you can't see it. And there is our finished baby bottle. So here is our done little project. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I also suggest subscribing to my channel so that you can see all the other Loomigurumi projects I've created, and you will be the first to know when my new projects are coming out. If you make something, please tag me on Instagram at SRSDesigns. I would love to see what you come up with. There's so many different ways to make these unique. Thanks for watching, and keep looming.